fucking Craig.
All right, so I guess this is episode 6, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And if y'all want to ask questions or comments or whatever, you got the channel to do that. Um, we're gonna talk about mental health issues. I'll tell y'all some of my story and struggles and dealing with that. And we'll talk about Salem witch trials and other witch trials that I might not be familiar with that you might be.
I am,
And
yes.
the Mandela effect, which is pretty big because they say the worst witness in a crime is an eyewitness. So that and censorship of speech, because I think that's a big issue now. So
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, uh, let's start off with the witch trial thing. Go ahead.
Okay, so I went on this like tour in Charleston, South Carolina.
Right.
There's a lot of paranormal stuff around there, right? And so they were telling these
Right.
stories on the tour about how apparently there was never really actually like witch trials in Salem. They were all at least starred in Charleston.
Right.
And so there's like the town square or whatever is said to be really haunted because there was a witch that was burned there or something.
Okay.
And so, I mean, that kind of makes it sort of interesting, the fact that everyone thinks of Salem as the witch trial place when apparently there weren't really any there to begin with.
So there was never any in Salem at all,
I
because
don't
according to
know.
history and everything I know, that was like the epicenter of it all.
I don't know, man. I mean, it was just this like random tour with people telling the history of it.
Right. See what you can find real quick.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, from what I've been told, it's always been Salem and everything like that, you know. So I don't know if uh if that's the actual gist of it or not, because I remember hearing about like um women and stuff like that that were accused of being witches. They were being locked in those cages and dumped underwater, and they were like, "Yeah, if you're not a witch, then just save yourself or whatever." Like
Mm-hmm.
all types of craziness, you know what I mean? So it it's just, and if people like saw ghosts or something back then, or any type of anything back then, honestly, because you're talking the 16 and 1700s, they didn't know about a lot of stuff, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's all about trying to make sense of stuff, and that's part of that kind of ties into what we talked about the last time about succubus and incubus, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So people being possessed by demons and things like that, where this is what people believed back then. And granted, we know more about it today than we did back then. But if you see something crazy, what's the first thing you're going to think of? Like, oh my God, they're possessed by the devil or whatever have you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just crazy. Like the logical conclusions your mind jumps to with the information that you have readily available to you at the time. It's
Yeah.
not like you just jump on your phone and be like, "Oh, hey, let me just look up on Google here and see what's going on with this and this and this." Nah, it wasn't like that. You had to go with what you knew. So, did you find anything?
Not really. I mean, there's not really much information on uh, South Carolina.
Right. If you look up Salem, they talk about that heavy on there though,
Mm-hmm.
because when I was up that way, they were talking about it, just different areas and things like that up there, and things they would do to them, burning people at the stake, like all types of stuff. Oh, just admit you're a witch, or just do this, or just do that. So, it's crazy, man. It really is that people would uh torture people just to get them to say that they are a witch or they aren't a witch, man. That's crazy. And it still goes on today, just in different ways. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
the CIA with waterboarding. Like, they're going to torture you and say you're a terrorist. Obviously, if you torture somebody enough, they're going to tell you whatever you want you to tell them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, eh, it's just crazy, man. It really is. I don't understand it.
There's also a lot of pirates in Charleston, that came into that harbor. And
Right.
like Blackbeard. apparently.
Oh yeah, Blackbeard was huge down there.
Yeah.
He was
I was
in
like,
he was in Raleigh, wasn't he?
I
Like
don't
he was
know.
the whole North Carolina area. I think he became like a governor down there or something. And
Maybe.
he went to go legit because they had the warrant out for him for robbing the East India Company ships.
Hmm.
And he came there. If I have it correct, I don't know if it's Blackbeard or not, but I know there was one pirate. It may have been Blackbeard that went and became like this socialite in North Carolina, or South Carolina, in the Carolinas at the time.
Yeah.
So he took on uh, this persona of this high society type person, and it's like he just assimilated right into society. He had like a debutante wife and all this stuff, and he was on the run though, you know.
Yeah.
So, do you know anything about the letters of marque from back then? They were called letters of marque.
No.
So back then, but like before the revolution and everything like that, they were giving out these called letters of marque to pirates. So they were called privateers, though. They weren't called pirates. So what they would do is they would give them these letters and they could legally attack any ship that was in international waters or coming close to uh, the not the US at the time, but the US, and they could seize their assets and everything like that. They were called privateers, though. So, they basically had free reign to roam the seas and just steal and plunder and pillage whatever they wanted. So, when they went to revoke these letters of marque, that's when all these people were going to become criminals. So that's why a lot of them kind of like went into hiding or denounced piracy or whatever happened.
Mm.
So yeah, what'd you find
Yeah.
on us?
What?
What'd you find on Salem? Anything?
Not much. I was more looking at South Carolina. But like
Oh,
there's this story, I don't know, that like Blackbeard came into the harbor down in South Carolina, stole stuff or something, and they went looking after him. But he was really
right.
smart, so he tricked them, right? And they ended up capturing a different innocent pirate ship and taking them back, and
Mm,
they just assumed it was the crew minus Blackbeard, and so they like
right.
locked them up in the basement and then put them in cages and hung them out on the harbor to ward off any other pirates and stuff.
Yeah, I heard about that.
That's one reason it's so haunted down there is because you've got all these, pirates that they killed in the cellars and stuff.
Right. That's what they used to do with a lot of them.
Hmm.
They would capture them, whether it be in Jamaica or certain groups like Pablo Cove is real big with that. Cuba is real big with that. The Bermuda, all that area, the Bahamas, and they would capture the pirates and they would like hang them from trees out there to deter other people from coming in there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Vlad, Vlad the Impaler, where Dracula comes from.
Hmm.
Vlad Dracula in Romania. He would take people and put them on spikes in the ground and impale them, and then people would come down this road and they'd see all these people impaled on spikes on the road. Like, yeah, we're not going there.
Yeah. And see, the problem is like the cellars that they would lock them up in were like right by the seawall, and they would end up flooding a ton. So then you have these,
Right,
cellars filled with random diseases, rats, and a ton of water.
right,
Which, I mean, the diseases just ended up killing most of them anyway.
right. That's like down in Florida on the dry Tortugas.
Hmm.
They have there. Have you ever heard of that? It was like a prison down there, but it was a military fort first, and It's actually where you know who Samuel Mudd was, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so for those who don't know, Samuel Mudd was the doctor that treated Lee Harvey Oswald, or not Lee Harvey Oswald, uh, the dude who killed Kennedy, or not Kennedy, fucking Lincoln, who killed John Wilkes Booth. When John Wilkes Booth got Lincoln and jumped off the balcony at Ford Theater in D.C., he fell on the stage and broke his ankle. He took off to Maryland. He met up with a doctor named Samuel Mudd. That's where we get the phrase "your name is Mudd" from, because the doctor was a piece of shit and he helped John Wilkes Booth after assassinating Lincoln. So Samuel Mudd was sent down to Florida to this prison in the Dry Tortugas. Now, while down there, about malaria and yellow fever came through. He was a doctor there, and he survived and helped people while he was there. He was one of the few to survive and helped people survive. So they commuted his sentence and let him go. But the whole thing was it was right on the ocean, like it was on a small island. So all this water would come in and these rats and all this stuff and like the guards were locking people up and not letting them out and all this stuff. It was crazy. So disease runs rampant.
Hmm.
That's like the coronavirus, bro. Like, how did this come about? Did it come from a bat or was it man-made or what? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
What's the whole thing? What's its whole deal? Because they still don't know anything about it. Some people say it was in a lab creation. Others say it was sold to the Chinese government from the U.S. and Israel, and they were planning to use it as a way to uh, as a load, a package load to deliver an AIDS vaccine in Africa because it's such a easily contagious virus and things like that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's I don't know. I don't know how it came about. I just know that it's crazy, and I've never seen anything pretty much shut down the world the way that has.
Hmm.
So uh, I just I really wish that we knew more about it. Um, all these companies are getting billions and billions of dollars for research and all this stuff, and they're releasing statements saying, "Oh, we have a breakthrough in a coronavirus vaccine," and their stock is shooting up like 45, 50% overnight because the day before they released this information. So it just makes you wonder, like, who had the information beforehand, who's greasing whose palm, stuff like that.
Hmm. We've
So
also got like companies really recently coming out with disinfectant and stuff that's like said to kill coronavirus, but then it turns out like it doesn't work and it's actually terrible for you. But
right.
because everyone wants that, they make so much money before they're shut down.
Right. It's just like when it first hit, people were selling these coronavirus care packages that were some bullshit fugazi stuff that had nothing to do with the coronavirus, didn't kill anything, but because it has coronavirus killer on it, they done sold 10,000 of them in a day or two at $50 a pop. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous, man. It really is. And to prey on people's fears and to make money off of their fear isn't right. Like if you're gonna sell a product, all right, cool. It goes back to back in the day, like the snake oil salesman. Like, oh yeah, snake oil cures everything. Nah, it was just like some bullshit mineral oil or something. You know what I mean?
Hmm. So I think the only good thing that like people are selling that has come about because of coronavirus is all the small businesses selling like customizable masks, right? One,
Right.
they look interesting. It kind of um encourages people to wear them. Two, you have some sustainable amount of income for these small businesses that got put out of business because of Corona.
Right. You
So, I mean,
definitely do.
that's good. Yeah.
What was that? You? That was.
Hmm?
No, it was my friend. So next topic. What was the next one? Oh, it was mental health. All right. So I'll tell y'all some of my story. So, all right. From a young age, I was sent into the state system. Uh, I was bounced around to foster families. Boom, boom, boom. I was probably with about 8 families in like 6 years. Uh, During that time, I went through a lot. I was abused. I was abused mentally, physically, sexually, all types of stuff. It's crazy. The foster care system is horrible. I'm very against it. I'm a big advocate against it. I think they should vet foster families a lot more. Um, I think they don't do enough. So, that's kind of where part of my drive to stop some of these people comes from. But after that, I was pretty messed up. Came came back to live with my family later. Ended up being abused by a family member. From there, I got into bad depression. I got into drugs really bad. At 14, I tried to kill myself twice. Um, Later on, I tried to kill myself again. I had 6 suicide attempts. I've overdosed on drugs numerous times. I was a heroin addict for multiple years. I've had all types of health issues from it that I dealt with. Uh, I was on life support for 7 days. I had 8 strokes. I was in a coma for 7 days. I had no brain activity, no breathing. I was never supposed to walk, never supposed to talk again, nothing. And my mom came in to pull the plug. I woke up, and doctor said I was like a 1 in 50 trillion chance to have nothing wrong with me. So, you know, uh, it's crazy because I think everybody has a purpose. I say this all the time. Everybody has a purpose, whether you know what it is yet or not, you know? So I still deal with a lot of things. I still deal with feelings of inadequacy, feelings of not being good enough, feelings of anger, feelings of hate, feelings of just depression, because if you've been through any type of trauma like that, you just always think in the back of your mind, like, all right, for me, at a young age, being bounced around from family to family to family to family to family, I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck did I do? Why doesn't this family want me? All of a sudden, they shipping me out. So it's like, damn, was I not good enough? I'm 4 or 5 years old. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like from an early age, that was imprinted in my brain that, damn, no family wants you. You're not good enough for anybody. Even these random people who take in random kids don't want you. So how fucked up must you be? You feel me?
Yeah.
So you get that mindset, you get that frame of mind of, damn, am I good enough for anybody? Does anybody want me? Will anybody love me? Will anybody care about me? You know? So
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to deal with, and it creeps up on me at times, and I don't, like I say all the time, man, I don't have everything figured out. I don't know all the answers, but I fight every day. I fight not to go back to heroin because I did drugs to numb the pain because I didn't want to feel. The same reason people self-harm, the same reason people starve themselves or overeat, whatever have you, self-hate, anything. I did drugs to numb the pain, bro. Like, I didn't want to feel anything. I didn't want to feel nothing. I shut all my feelings off, shut all that shit down because to me, that was pain, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to feel and to be in the moment and to think about that stuff and relive those horrors. And I still have nightmares about that shit to this day. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
it's it's really hard to face down your demons when they've haunted you from such a young age. But you really have to make a conscious effort to try. And I hear so many people say, oh, I can't try, it's so hard, it's so hard. Well, nothing in life worth having is easy. If it was, everybody would be happy and everybody would have everything they want. But you have to work at it. If you put forth a real effort and a legit effort, you'll see results. It doesn't happen overnight. It's taken me years and years and years to get where I'm at now, and to get into the frame of mind that I have now, where certain things don't bother me, and I can deal with certain things, not get upset, or I can control my emotions or whatever, you know. So I think that's a big thing because people are so afraid to confront their emotions. And I tell you all the time that anger, depression, all that stuff is a secondary emotion. You need to figure out the primary, the cause of it. Once you figure out the cause, then you can address the rest of it. Because if I'm mad, what am I mad about? Why am I mad? That's what I need to figure out. Or if I'm
Mm-hmm.
depressed, why am I depressed? Well, because I got a bad grade on this test. Well, why did I get a bad grade? Because I didn't study. Why didn't I study? Because I was too busy on Twitter. Why was I too busy on Twitter? Because I was trying to avoid real life. Why was I trying to avoid real life? Because it's depressing. Why is it depressing? So you got to really keep asking this why, and get to the bottom of it. And it's hard, but if you work at it, you can do it. So, you know, I just think that nobody should give up on themselves because I could have gave up on myself numerous times. So many people gave up on me. Oh, he ain't never gonna change. He gonna be like that forever. He gonna be a drug addict. He gonna be a junkie. He gonna be doing this and that. Blah 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 blah. Nah, that's not the path I wanted anymore. So you got to make that active choice to do something different, to make a better choice, because you control it. You can think you don't have the control, but you control it. You control all your decisions, everything, even the little bit of power you think you don't have, you have. So never be afraid to take control of your life. Never. It's hard. It's not easy, but it's worth it because you're worth it. And regardless of
Mm-hmm.
what you think, you have something to offer to this world. I promise you, you do. You know. So
Mm-hmm.
what's your story, bro? Like, you been through any crazy shit?
I mean, definitely not like that. Mine's, like stereotypical
My
um
story's a little crazy.
school stuff. At some point in school, I was bullied, not like in the sense, like in TV shows where you get kids being thrown into lockers or whatever, but a lot
Right.
of like behind your back gossip and stuff. And it was at a time like a low point in my life already, and that just sort of hit me, right? And I don't know, I didn't want to hear it, but at the same time, I wanted to know what was happening. So I had like a friend telling me what was going on. And finally, one of my friends got it to stop, which was, I mean, amazing. But it still bothers me to this day. As much as I try to push all of those memories out of my mind, I
Right.
keep realizing recently that it's a thing that you can't do. You need to sort of accept that these things happened, right? Because, I mean, if you try to forget it, anything that's going to bring that memory back up, it's just going to hit you harder than you really thought it would. And so the basic point is that you just have to accept things, think about them, even if you don't want to.
Yeah, you do. I went through a lot of that stuff too in school. Um, from you know, uh, middle school, elementary school, even elementary school, because I was smart. I was smart for my age, and I knew a lot more than everybody else. So I kind of suppressed that stuff because I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to be the one that's an egghead. Oh, you're a Poindexter. You're a nerd. You're this. You're that. Now the nerds run the world. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody want to be a nerd now. But back in the day, it wasn't like that. The nerds were the outcasts, bro. You were like, I'm sure you remember. It
Mm-hmm.
just, it wasn't like that. It wasn't, oh man, yeah, he can do this on a computer, or he can do that, or he knows this or that. Nah, people made fun of you back then. It wasn't like it is today, because everybody didn't have computers and access to a lot of stuff. So you were looked at differently. You were looked at as the outcast.
Mm-hmm.
So it's even even going into high school, man. Like I remember going into high school and just being like, damn, this is not going to be good because at the time, at that age, 15, 16, so forth, you developing your identity. So my identity was just totally off the wall because I was being everybody else. I wasn't being myself, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
that's part of it, man. We get afraid to be ourselves, and we take pieces of everybody else, and then we lose ourselves. Because if I'm taking a piece from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I'm becoming all of those people in one, because that's who I'm trying to please, and I have to be this way or this way or this way or this way, and that's what they like. Who am I? What's my identity? So you lose yourself, bro. You really do. Like
Yeah, I know
it's
at
bad.
some point in my life I had sort of realized that who I was wasn't going to be very accepted, so I tried to pick up on things other people did, in order to fit in, and I really numbed down a ton of my emotions. And at some point came to the realization that I had started to not understand my own and only pick up on ones around me in order to fit the situation, because I was afraid of having like wrong reactions to things in
Right.
a way that like the people around me wouldn't have. And so I came to this point where I realized that a lot of the things I did and the ways I thought were not things that I really was, controlling. It was more based off of everyone around me from the subconscious um, system of sort of making myself like other people. And
You do
yeah.
it because we all want acceptance. We all crave acceptance and love and companionship and whatever else have you. And it just started pouring and I'm getting soaking wet and I'm trying to hide under this tree. And I'm hoping that lightning don't strike this tree because then I'm gonna get fried.
First the cars, now the lightning.
Yeah, like if y'all hear a big loud bang and then I go quiet, you know what it was.
Yeah.
So so we really do, man. We try to be what everybody wants us to be. We try to be everything to everybody and we end up not being ourselves. And I think self-identity is so important because you want to be an individual, man. You're not a cookie cutter. Life isn't cookie cutters. Like if it was, everybody would be the same. Everybody would look the same. Everybody would have the same everything. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And they're different for a reason. So embrace your individuality. Embrace who you are. Embrace yourself, even if uh, you have, like me, man, my past is fucked up, but I embrace all of it because if you own all your flaws and everything that you don't like about yourself, guess what? No one can use that against you now because you accept it. Once you accept it, it doesn't matter anymore. Like
Hmm.
people can say whatever they want about me now. I don't care because I'm not that person anymore. But back then, bro, I would have snapped. Like let someone call me a junkie or a drug addict or something like that. We fighting. But now I could care less because that's not me. That's not who I am. That's who I was. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I really think that if we just accepted people for the way they were and didn't try to get them to conform to society's expectations of things or what society views as normal, as far as bodies, as far as dressing, as far as looks, anything. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's so bad because we as a society demonize people that are different most of the time, unless you're some celebrity, and then it's he's cool, he's edgy, he's this, he's that, but let your friend do it and he's a weirdo. You know what I mean? Why the
Yeah.
double standard?
Yeah, you had
Why,
this, kids were bullied for being emo or whatever, and then all of a sudden, e-boys was like the most popular thing.
right? And then Billie Eilish is the coolest thing ever because she's so emo. Like
Yeah.
it makes no sense because oh, I guess certain people liked her, so it's okay now. But
Yeah,
why
but then
isn't it okay for others?
at the same time, you still had like, I mean, a lot of the e-boys, they didn't really fit, like the true what emo really was at that time or whatever. And so you still had those people following the, stereotypical actual emo things, and even then they were getting put down, right?
Right.
I just don't
It
get it.
it's strange because like I don't understand why people get judged off of so much superficial things. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like if you're gonna judge somebody, judge them off of their actions, judge them off of the things that they do. Um, don't judge them off of the way that they look. Don't judge them off of how they dress or anything like that. Judge them off of the things they stand for, the things they speak out about, and the things they represent. You know, and if if we just took a minute to think about how we would feel if we were in that situation, then I think a lot of people would act different because a lot of times you get caught up in the crowd. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Where it's this person, they're a weirdo or they're this or they're that, and then all of a sudden you don't want to miss out on something. You want to be part of something, and people try so desperately to be part of something until it's something that happens where they want no part of, and then they're automatically in it because they were involved. Now you don't want to be part of that, but you are. It's too deep now. It's too late for all that. So if people just put themselves into those situations and thought for a minute, like, hey, how would I feel if somebody was saying this stuff to me or doing this stuff to me? Then I think people would look at everybody and talk to people differently because we often just don't think about that. We just think about oh, I just want to fit in, or I just everyone else is doing it, so why wouldn't I do it? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It, but it's it's not a good stance to take, man. It really isn't. Be yourself. If something doesn't feel right to you, don't do it. Who cares if people call you stupid, lame, uh, dumb, whatever? If they call you not cool, who cares about all that? I'd rather be not cool and not involved in some shit that I don't like than be the coolest kid on the planet and be hating myself at night because that's not who I am. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And it it's hard as I know a lot of people are teenagers, and it's hard as a teenager to not get caught up in that. But it's if you stand for something, stand for it all the way. Don't compromise your morals to fit in. Don't compromise your morals to be part of a crowd or to be with the cool kids or whatever the case is. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
fine to not fit in. You don't have to fit in all the time. You could be the square peg going in the round hole. Who cares? As long as you're happy, make yourself happy. Stop making other people happy. You know, people get so caught up in uh, emotional dependency where um, we rely on others for our worth. Oh, you're so cool. Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, you're this, you're that, you're wonderful. Blah 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 blah. Whatever the case is, you know. So we crave that from people, not realizing that we're a slave to them. We really are, because as soon as they don't tell us something or they say something bad about us, we get depressed or sad or whatever, and it's the end of the world because
Mm-hmm.
now the person who was praising us all this time turned their back on us or whatever the case is. They talk bad about us, you know, things like that. So don't rely on others for your sense of self-worth. That's why it's called self-worth, because it comes from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be happy with yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to encourage yourself, because there's going to be times where people are going to hate you. It's life. Welcome to life. Like, everybody isn't going to like you, and that's okay. You're not supposed to be liked by everybody. It's okay. But so many people say, "Oh my God, I just want to be liked by everybody." Fuck that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
haters are a good thing to have because it tells you you're doing something right. You know,
Yeah.
if you hate on me, that's fine with me because I'm taking up space in your head rent free. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
You thinking about me and think and clocking my every move while I'm out here doing me, living, and you stuck back there thinking about what Solito doing because you such a hater. You know,
Mm-hmm.
people people get so caught up on, oh my God, they don't like me. Why don't they like me? Who cares? I don't care why people don't like me. You could like me because uh, you could not like me because I spoke out on something that you didn't agree with. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that takes me to the next topic: free speech and censorship of speech. How do you feel about that?
It's a very touchy subject because I mean, there's so many things that you have to sort of think about. Because on one hand, you want free speech, right? But then there's some things that you just really don't want to hear from people. But if you stop that, then it's no longer freedom of speech.
Right. So, do you think that people's speech should be censored?
I mean, I really don't know. It's really confusing. What do you
Okay.
think?
Let me put it to you this way, right?
Hmm.
So, I'm speaking out about uh Kurds, Kurds getting Kurdistan and all that, right?
Hmm.
Now, talking out about Erdogan and all that. Now, people are could turn that and say that's hate speech. You understand what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because they might not think that Erdogan's a dictator and Erdogan is doing anything wrong. So, if we censor speech, it's a very, 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 very slippery slope. Once
Hmm.
this happens, we cannot put the genie back in the bottle. There is no going back. Who's the speech police? Who decides what's wrong? Who decides what isn't right? Who decides what gets censored and what doesn't? Are they going to be biased towards one thing and not another? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's it comes a point where free speech becomes dangerous if it's uh, inciting violence or leading to violent acts or um, telling people to commit violence. But people speaking out and speaking their opinions on a subject is not a need to be censored. And
Hmm.
don't get me wrong, like I'm against a lot of people, but people that people that say, oh, perfect example, like we were talking about earlier, uh, homophobia is a mental illness. That's free speech. I might not agree with that. You might not agree with that, but he has a right to say that. You understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So if we were to censor that and say, oh, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, you can't say that, blah, 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 this, that, and the third, where does it end? You
yeah.
know? Because I could
Hmm.
say that this type of cat is the best cat in the world, but now I'm hate speech against all other cats.
Exactly.
Now now I'm being censored. So people, I understand people are very um staunch in their beliefs of, you shouldn't say this or you shouldn't say that. But at the same time, we have to allow free speech. We have to. Because if you don't, anything could be twisted. Anything could become hate speech. Anything could become terrorist propaganda. Look at the Philippines. Look at Hong Kong. These people can't talk about anything anymore. They can't talk about democracy. They can't talk about the government. They can't talk about anything, bro. Anything related to despicable acts by the government or anything like that, and you're getting thrown in jail, bro. So it's it's very, 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 very important that we keep free speech, not just for the people we agree with, but for those that we don't agree with. Because we can't just say, all right, yeah, you could say whatever you want because I agree with what you're saying right here. So, yeah, we could say that. No, we have to fight for free speech for those even we're against. In fact, we have to fight harder for the people we're against to be allowed to have free speech than we do for the people we're for. Because if they get censored, like Q, everyone's like, oh yeah, ban Q, ban Q, ban Q. For what? Why? They're allowed free speech as long as they're not inciting violence or telling people to go out and commit crimes or whatever. You know, granted, some of their theories are crazy and some of the things they believe are crazy. Okay, that's fine. But guess what? They have just as much right to say that as we have to say about peace, love, and unity for everybody, except everybody, and things like that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Hello?
What? What'd you do this time?
Hello?
What'd you do?
All right. Well, where'd I leave off at?
I, we have to protect freedom of speech for everyone because
Right.
everything can be turned into hate speech.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we have to fight for even the people that we're against. Like Q. Q's a perfect example, bro. All these people saying ban Q, ban Q, ban Q, this, that, and the
You're
third.
repeating your
For
exact
what?
same words.
Yeah, like, all right. So why? Just why? Why are we trying to ban these people? Why are we not saying that everybody should have free speech? That's one of the core values, bro. Freedom of speech and freedom of the press. Like we fight for Julian Assange, yet we want to deny others free speech. What's up with that? I don't understand.
Hmm.
So like, what do you think about that?
I agree that freedom of speech, I mean, everyone has the right to say whatever they want, but it only becomes a problem when it, like seriously endangers other people. If, like, you're allowed to say, the example from earlier, homophobe or uh, homosexual
Homophobia is a
relationships.
mental illness.
No, no, not homophobia. Homosexuality is a mental illness. You're
Oh,
allowed to
right, right,
say
right.
that, but if you were to say, like, gays are mentally ill, we should kill them all, that's where the
That's a
problem
problem.
is, because that's inciting violence. Whether you
Right.
intend to actually do it yourself or not, other people are going to be like, oh, someone else agrees with me. It
It's
must,
okay.
be okay.
Right. Exactly. That's where it becomes a problem. But for just saying your feelings as far as something like that, or whatever the case is. We can't censor that. We can't attack these people. We can't become a hate machine. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what happened, and it becomes a mob mentality. You know, and it goes back to everybody trying to fit in. It goes right back to that, where it's the cool thing. Oh, they're talking out about this. They're talking out about that. Let's get them. You know, and then everybody's at their door with pitchforks and burning logs and stuff like that, trying to string this person up by their neck because of something they said. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so it's a it's a really really slippery slope, man. It really is. And yeah, we might not agree with everything everybody says because I don't agree with a lot of stuff people say. But you know what? I gotta let people say what they say. If I don't agree with it, I'm gonna let lame people do the lame shit that they do and keep it moving because it's not worth my time. Sometimes you just got to let it go, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But we get so caught up in trying to right every wrong and political correctness and all this stuff that we miss the fact that freedom of speech is so important. It really is. Because, how would you like it if something you said got censored because someone didn't agree with it? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's a very, very, very slippery slope, man. It really is. And uh, it's it's dangerous. It really is because now you don't know what people really think. Because if you give someone enough time to let them talk and to let them say their piece, they'll expose themselves. They'll
Mm-hmm.
say how they feel about things and they'll say what's really on their mind. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So now, if we censor these people, now we'll never know. We'll never know what they're thinking. We'll never know how they really feel because that avenue has been cut off. Like, yeah, I don't agree with uh, pedophiles being allowed to talk about stuff on Twitter and post art and stuff like that. And I talk about it all the time that I'm against it, but I can't fight for them to be censored unless it leads to a crime. Once it leads to a crime, that's a different story. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? So it I understand people have strong feelings about things. I understand that people are vehemently against certain things. And that's fine. You can be against it. But just know that if you fight for certain things and they come about, think about the consequences and repercussions that come along with those things. Are we fighting for the right things? Are we fighting for uh, the things that 10 years from now, not instant gratification, you have to think long term. Say we get speech censorship implemented. 10 years from now, everything's sanitized. You can't do anything. You can't talk about nothing unless it's state approved or government approved. Every internet server is government ran and has algorithms in place to censor anything that they don't agree with. You can't speak out against the government no more. You can't speak bad against the president. You can't say anything bad or they're coming for you. That's what this could lead to. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just feel a lot of people don't think about that in the short term because we get so caught up in, oh, well, yeah, let's just get them out of here because they're saying something I don't agree with. Now, 10 years from now, it's a whole different ball game because of that. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a huge proponent of free speech and letting people say what they want to say because if we take that away, man, it's a very 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 bad situation.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um, what else? What else? What was the other thing we were going to talk about?
Mandela
It was
effect.
mental health, censorship, witch trials, and there was something else.
The Mandela effect.
Yes, like I said earlier, the the worst type of witness, a cop will tell you, the worst type of witness is an eyewitness because everybody sees something different.
Mm-hmm.
So you know more about this than me. So go ahead.
It's basically this weird phenomenon where people remember specific things differently than they have ever existed. Like the best example is the Berenstein Bears. Everyone thinks it's spelled with a E at the end, Stein, but apparently it's like Stain or something.
The
And the only place
Berenstain
it's
Bears.
only place it's ever been spelled with an E is on like knockoff products.
Right,
But like ask anyone, they'll swear it has been always an E.
right.
Um, okay, you know the really popular peanut butter brand. What is it called?
Jif.
Well, everyone thinks it's called Jiffy peanut butter, but
Nah, it's
that's
called
never.
Jif.
Yeah, it is, but yeah, everyone remembers it as Jiffy, but it's never been that.
Nah, it never has, because it's always had the multicolored label with JIF on it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
What
it
else? You know Skechers tennis shoes?
no.
You don't know that brand?
I know that brand, yes, but I'm not
Okay,
familiar with their designer.
well, how do you spell it?
Skechers.
Apparently, people think there's a T in there.
Well, that's because that's how you spell sketch. So
Hmm.
it's phonetically, your brain automatically goes to that.
How do you spell Febreze? Like the odor.
Febreze.
People think there's two E's, like the actual,
That's
like the word breeze.
right.
People
It's
think Fruit Loops is spelled like normal fruit, but apparently it's
right.
Froot.
Right.
Yeah.
It
They think the Fruit of the Loom logo has a little basket, but it's never had one.
no, it's always had the fruit separate, just
Yeah.
like sit
Yeah, but
a
there's never been a
banana.
little basket.
Right. It was a banana, grapes, an orange, an apple, and I think that's it.
I don't know.
I think it was four of them.
Apparently, people think Curious George had a tail.
He didn't?
No,
Really?
no, I'm serious.
Well, that's because they associate him with a monkey, though.
Yeah, but he's never had a tail.
What type of monkey doesn't have a tail? What's
I
he,
don't know.
Gohan? What's he, Gohan from Dragon Ball Z?
Probably. No, he's never had a tail. That's what I'm
That's
talking about,
crazy.
though.
Right. I didn't know that. See, I didn't know that one. I knew a lot of the other ones,
Hmm.
but it's kind of like, certain events in history too. People, people say one way and it happened another way.
Hmm.
Um, the Kennedy assassination. People swear that gunshots came from the grassy knoll. Other people say that it was from the front of the car, from a Secret Service agent running in front of the car, and he turned around and shot him, or whatever the case was. Um, so, and the World Trade Towers, when they got hit, people say that they heard explosions and that before the planes hit. So, what is the truth? And it goes back to the old saying: uh, "There's your version, my version, and the truth." So
Hmm.
it's it's kind of like, what's your accepted version of reality, you know?
Hmm.
See, I don't know too much about it. So if you know more about it, go ahead.
I mean, I just have this like random list of things, honestly.
So go ahead.
You know, in Snow White, the famous saying "Mirror, mirror on the wall."
Right,
It's not how it is in the um actual like movie in the Disney movie. There's always magic
right.
mirror on the wall.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh. Snow White's real name? Aurora. Don't ask how I know. It's Aurora.
but Aurora was a different one.
Is it? It might be. I thought that was.
Aurora's
I
Sleeping
think that's
Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty. Yeah, it's Sleeping
Yeah,
Beauty. You're right. I just knew it was one of them. Snow White or Sleeping Beauty, one of them. That's crazy. I know that. Don't ask how. Just knew.
yeah. I don't know
So
what Snow White's real name is. I think it is just Snow
Snow
White.
White. Right. Did you
Yeah,
know that the seven dwarfs were based off of seven spirits from somewhere?
I think.
I think they were like Norse, like Norse mythology type things. I think.
Hmm.
I forget.
Another
So
good
what else?
example is the Luke I am your father from Star Wars,
Right.
which it was never Luke I am your father. It's no I
It's
am
I
your
am your.
father. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Hmm.
That's like history though. History, like the lies that were told in school. You know what I mean? That people grow
Hmm.
up believing. Columbus discovered America. Christopher Columbus never discovered America. He never set foot on mainland America.
Yeah.
He was down in the East Indies. He was down in the islands. He never actually set foot on mainland America. So people say, "Oh, Christopher Columbus discovered America." No, he didn't. He had nothing to do with the discovery of America. And honestly, they say he stole the the maps from someone else that knew
Hmm.
about the continent of North America and everything. So, a lot of things from history and things that we're taught, it's all a lie because it's written by history is written by the victors, man. It really is,
Hmm.
and they sanitize it to make themselves look better, to make themselves not come off as horrible people. So you don't have too many unbiased accounts of what happened in history. Because if you think about it, say you go back to ancient Rome or you go back to ancient Greece or Mesopotamia or even uh, the 1400s, 1500s, whatever have you, and you're writing history, right? You're documenting history, you're taking it down,
Hmm.
and you go to present it. Now, the king or whoever's in power is going to see this. He's going to say, "Why did you put in there that I slaughtered these people?" And he's going to make you remove it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's all sanitized to make certain people look better and to put other people in a different light and things like that. So that's why you really have to research things on your own. There's a great book called Lies My Teacher Told Me, and it just talks about all these different things that we think are true, but they're really not. And it's it's really eye opening, man, to hear about and read about all these things that you grow up believing are real and that other people will argue with you that really happened or is true, and you're like, no, no, it's not. That's not how it happened. That's not what went down. And to see that stuff is crazy. Like, have you ever researched the Roswell, New Mexico crash?
Um, Maybe a little bit.
Okay, so the original report was the United States Air Force believed that it was a UFO. It came out in the paper that they thought it was a UFO crash or a government agency. I don't know if it was the Air Force or not, but they believed that it was a UFO crash. Now, a day or two later, they retracted the statement and put out that it was a weather balloon.
Oh, that,
So,
yeah.
right. So, it's really crazy that they control so much, you know? If they really did have an alien or find something in that crash, they're not going to tell us because they think that the public isn't ready for it. It'll cause panic and outrage.
Hmm.
And even right now, like, I wonder, all right, this lady's running around talking about demons and alien sperm and this and that. Are they trying to prepare us for aliens visiting Earth? Like, what's going on here? You
Hmm.
know? Because there's always an agenda. There's always something that they're working at, an angle. And I try to figure that out. Like, I study things, I analyze things, and I say, all right, what's their goal? What's their end goal? Are they trying to desensitize us to the fact that aliens could be here? Or are they trying to scare us that aliens are horrible? So if they do come to the planet and visit, we're going to rebel against them. You know,
Hmm.
it's it's strange things like this that I think about at 3 a.m. when I can't sleep.
Yeah.
So, um, have you ever heard of there's a place in England. I forget the name of it. Hang on, let me look it up. It's a place where they had alien. It was a UFO crash. Uh, Rofersham, Rendlesham. So Rendlesham. It was 1980. There was a um, there was a series of reported sightings of unexplained lights and all this stuff. It's outside of Suffolk, England, in Rendlesham Forest, and the people took the Air Force out there, the RAF. They took them out there, and they got them up there, and they They got them so far, and then the Air Force went up by themselves. Well, they came back and told everybody, yeah, it was nothing, just leave. Like, not, hey, can we get a ride back? Or no, if it's nothing, you would think they want to ride back, right? Because it was a hike.
Hmm.
So it makes you wonder, what did they find in Rendlesham, you know?
Yeah.
And they actually put together. England has had a UFO program for a while. There was a guy, Nick, what the hell was his name? Nick something. But he was part of the division that did research on UFOs for like MI5 or MI6 something. But it's just crazy the stuff that they hide from us and what they really know. You know what I mean? Like, what do they really know?
Hmm.
It's it's insanity. Have you ever heard of the Book of Secrets that gets passed down from president to president? It was in
Yeah.
National Treasure too.
Hmm.
So, what do you think about that? You think it's legit?
Um, I mean, I think it could definitely be a thing. Like, I haven't really looked into that at all, but there's definitely something, because the president knows a lot of things that the public doesn't because he, has access to people in the CIA and FBI or whatever. And you wouldn't want to have to tell all this past information to the new president, right? So it kind of makes sense if they had something sort of just set in
Something that
place.
something that gets handed down.
Hmm.
But do you think, all right, so do you think that they keep things from the president too?
Um, I mean, maybe not entirely, but
I,
maybe for like a time.
I think they keep a lot from them, honestly. Uh, CIA stuff like that. I think they run a
Yeah.
lot of operations that the president has no clue about, off the books, as far as like not needing authorization, black ops and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, just because, you know, if you're the head of the CIA or the NSA or the FBI or whatever, um, say, you know what COINTELPRO is?
No.
Okay. So COINTELPRO was started by J. Edgar Hoover. It was during the 60s, during Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, and all the big Malcolm X and people like that, the civil rights movement and everything. So it's counterintelligence. Um, he actually tapped Martin Luther King's phone lines and rooms that he was in hotels and things like that. He tried to blackmail Martin Luther King with phone calls, recorded phone calls of him talking to his mistress and other women on the phone. He sent it to his house. His wife heard it. J. Edgar Hoover sent it to his house. It was all types of craziness. And Coretta King still stuck by him. And it was just crazy because did the president authorize this? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And J. Edgar Hoover was known to abuse power. He was known to collect files on people and to blackmail people in power, and that's how he stayed director of the FBI for so long. Um, because he was a piece of shit, but he had so much dirt on everybody that nobody could touch him. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So, if if they were willing to run COINTELPRO and to do that behind people's backs and everything like that. They had all types of information, and like I'm talking everything. You can Google it. Look up COINTELPRO about how the the FBI used what's his name? Who was the guy that killed MLK? What the hell
Oh,
was his Eric? His real name is Eric something, but he went by
James
James
Earl
Earl
Ray.
Ray. Right. His he was actually on the run and hiding out in Mexico and engaging with underage girls. The FBI was watching him and tailing, and they were paying him. He went and bought a rifle. It was like a couple days before the assassination at the Lorraine Hotel, and
You've messed
he
up your mic.
huh? Can you? Is that better? Hello.
Hello?
Yeah. All right. So he went to the Lorraine Hotel. He was like a couple blocks, like a block or so away. Um, Dude had like no formal training or anything like that, and he ended up killing MLK, and then
Hmm.
he went on the run, and they tracked him down and found him. But they think that he was used because he had certain leanings towards other things, and he would be the perfect fall guy, kind of like Lee Harvey Oswald with JFK, where he was a Soviet sympathizer. He was a trained marksman in the military and all these things. So, when they arrested Lee Harvey Oswald, he said, "Why am I being arrested? Like, what's going on?" And this and that. And he denied everything. And it's just weird that Jack Ruby, a guy who was linked to the mob, uh, and was dying of cancer, like actively dying of cancer and had under 6 months to live, comes out of nowhere and kills Lee Harvey Oswald before he can ever talk. You know what I mean? So what would have happened had Oswald talked? What would we have known? You know,
Hmm.
it's just it's crazy how uh things happen and things unfold, because it makes you really wonder and question a lot of things about how we're spoon fed so much stuff. You know, like
Hmm.
if you watch mainstream media, Fox, BBC, NBC, CBS, whatever have you, and you see these news reports, they're basically the same exact news reports that are on every other station that's owned by that company.
Yeah.
You know, um, in fact, there was a video I tweeted out the other day. I retweeted it, I believe. It was about Sinclair Broadcasting Corporation, and it showed the whole early news script, and it was the same on like 15 or 20 different stations, bro.
Yeah,
Literally
I've
the
seen
same
multiple of
article.
those where people play certain clips of different news reporters from like 30 different stations or whatever, and at some point they all line up on the exact same words.
Exactly.
There's also
So,
been times I'll be researching, like on the computer, right? News articles, and I'll come across a few that are like copy and paste.
right, directly from somebody else.
Hmm.
So it's crazy. Like, who writes this stuff? Who's the ones that are doing this stuff?
Hmm.
Who's the ones that are controlling? It's like they say, if you control the flow of information, you control the people, because you really do. If
Yeah.
I can control what you see, what you hear, what you think, and influence you, I control you. It's just like emotional slavery, basically, because you'll do whatever I'm telling you to do because you're being programmed. Oh, if I watch Fox News, I think that Democrats are horrible. I think that if I'm watching Hannity or Laura Ingraham with the Ingraham angle, or Tucker Carlson or whatever, I think Trump is the greatest person ever. But if I turn on CNN or I turn on something else, Trump's getting slammed everywhere, you know?
Hmm.
So it's that's why it's important to research stuff on your own, man. I can't stress that enough. We put out news and we put out information, but at the end of the day, it's up to everybody else to do their own research. Never, ever, ever follow anything blindly. Never. Know what you're getting into, know what you're doing, know what's going on. Educate yourselves. You really got it. Because if you don't, you're gonna be just led around. Like, don't let other people lead you around. Choose your own path. And a lot of people don't do that now. You see these people, oh well, Facebook said and this said. Last time I checked, Facebook wasn't a verifiable news source.
Hmm.
People like people be like, oh well, Karen on Facebook said that the coronavirus isn't killing anybody and it's all a lie. Last time I
Hmm.
checked, she wasn't a doctor, so I don't know. But it's it's important to really look into stuff yourself, because if you don't, you will be led around and you'll fill other people's agendas. And independent think, man, critical think for yourself, because if you don't, someone else will do it for you. Someone else will tell you how to think. Someone else will tell you how to feel.
Hmm.
Someone else will tell you what to believe. And then That's might not be what you believe in, but now you're being brainwashed because that's how it goes, you know?
Hmm.
So, with that being said, you got anything else?
No.
All right. Uh, if y'all want to shoot topics for the next one, you see how this one went. We didn't really have too much to talk about, so we just kind of bullshit it. Yeah, feel free to shoot topics for the next one. Um, you know, and have a good day. And yeah, talk to y'all later. All right, bro. I'll hit
Hmm.
you up.
Hmm.